बहुजन क्रांति और बहुजन नायकों को समर्पित दलित दस्तक का 2024 का शानदार बहुजन कैलेंडर आ चुका है। कैलेंडर छोटे और बड़े दोनों साइजों में उपलब्ध है। बुकिंग के लिए दिए गए नंबर पर व्हाट्सएप करें या ईमेल करें। थोक में ऑर्डर करने पर मिलेगी आकर्षक छूट।
Am I audible? I am. It just makes no sense for me to come after Professor Thorat and Professor Lawrence Simon. It's just, I probably have a law degree, and that's the reason why I'm here. But I'd really like to start with why are we gathered here for this conference on caste, law, and pursuit of justice? And I've been talking, I'm one of the anti-caste lawyers from India, amongst many. And we've been wondering of why has there never been a conference dedicated to caste and law. And we've had conferences on caste. We've had sociological, anthropological inquiries into the issue of caste. We have a lot of conferences in India on the issue of discrimination law and constitutional law. But we often see that caste is probably there's just one panel dedicated to caste in a token manner, right? But this inquiry of caste and law together has, if I may say so, is in my opinion, at least in the last 7 years of my career as a litigating lawyer, I've not seen a dedicated conference on caste and law. And the time of this conference is also very opportune. Of course, we are talking about recognizing caste as a protected category in the US and outside of India. But we are also talking of a time where there is not just overt form of discrimination and caste-based discrimination in the form of atrocities or exclusion, but we're talking about a time where multiple Dalit and Adivasi students in India are committing suicides, right? And we're talking of a time where this monster of caste is taking a more institutional, systemic form, where you can't really identify this monster, right? You can't really, nobody is discriminating against students by saying that, using caste as slurs. But there is a certain systemic manner in which these institutions are excluding Dalit and Adivasi students, right? So we are in a time where law, regulations, rules are actually being used by institutions, by democratic institutions, by modern institutions to legitimize the system of caste, to legitimize exclusion. And I feel like that's also one big reason why we see that though we have protected legislations like the Atrocities Act, which sort of ensures and gives you legal remedies and legal protections as far as overt forms of discrimination is concerned, overt forms of violence is concerned. But we often, and this has been my, in the multiple discussions that I've had with Professor Thorat on discrimination in education, discrimination in employment, discrimination in housing, of how law is inefficient, is ill-equipped to deal with these systemic forms of discrimination. The Atrocities Act, for example, does not define any form of education-based discrimination, right? And then you go to courts, and I've represented clients and Dalit Adivasi students in cases where they have faced discrimination. And you see that the law and the courts are ill-equipped to even understand systemic or institutional discrimination. And you often see that this law being inadequate, legal frameworks being inadequate, or legal system being inadequate is a result of lack of scholarship, is a result of lack of dedicated inquiry into how law plays a role in institutionalizing, systematizing caste-based discrimination. And I think that I am a student at Columbia. I am studying critical race theory. My specialization is on critical race and critical caste. And I've often wondered, and I've also had a bit of a complaint, because I felt that critical race theory and the origins of critical race theory in the US have been from have been in the legal scholarship and the legal academia. Its origins are in the legal academia, right? And in India, there have been many attempts, and I'm really thankful that there are these attempts to sort of develop critical caste studies, but they're not coming from lawyers. They are not coming from legal academics. And I think that unless we marry the two, we marry the scholarship on the anti-caste scholarship with the legal scholarship, I don't think that the questions that we are being confronted in recent times about systemic forms of violence, systemic forms of caste-based discrimination, I don't think we will be equipped to deal with these questions. One example, as I gave you, was that of employment-related discrimination, but also, education, discrimination in education, but also the recent case in IITs where students are being segregated in the college mess, right? And the college is saying that, oh, the segregation is just based on veg and non-veg. This is often also you see in housing discrimination where people will say that, oh, we don't want people who eat non-veg to be a part of our societies, right? And you see that it is not an overt discrimination. Nobody is saying that this is a discrimination based on caste, but disparately, the people who are consuming this kind of food, who are culturally meat-eating communities, who have traditionally been meat-eating communities, have been Dalit, Adivasi, Bahujan communities, right? And they are being disproportionately excluded. So these are the questions that we are going to be confronted with, and the legal inquiry is going to be very important in this respect. I also feel that some of the questions that we might want to deal with are that on the one hand, the anti-caste movement strongly advocates death penalty and the strongest form of punishment and the most carceral punishment when it comes to caste-based atrocities. But on the other hand, we also see that those who are being incarcerated, those who are disproportionately being sentenced to death are also people coming from Dalit, Adivasi, Bahujan communities. The Death Penalty India report of 2016 tells you that 75% of those who are on death row are Dalit, Adivasi, Bahujan people, right? So we have a system, we have a legal system that is disproportionately targeting, so to say, Dalit and Adivasi people, right? So we will also have to confront ourselves with some of these questions, these upcoming questions, that how carceral do we want our legal system to be, right? And does it really serve the purpose then? And is it really truly anti-caste to be carceral, or would it be truly anti-caste to be non-carceral in our approaches? I think that this conference is a great opportunity for us to reflect on some of these upcoming issues and concerns, and I hope that, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys have finally made it here. I know it has been very difficult for a lot of people to make it to the US, considering, especially from India, considering the visa, delay in the visa appointments. But thank you everyone, and thanks for having me. And I am really extremely grateful to Professor Simon, to Professor Thorat. Very few established academics, professors are genuinely interested in talking to youngsters, and interacting with them and understanding them. And I have encountered very few of those, and Professor Thorat and Professor Simon are one of them. And I'm just grateful that they've given me this opportunity and this platform to speak, and to really ensure that some of my ideas can be my ideas, Anurag's ideas, and our ideas could be put to test. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.